Greetings, here's your daily walk through the scripture for February the 7th. Your readings this morning should have been Exodus chapters 26 and 27, Matthew chapter 25 verses 1 through 30, Psalm 31 1 through 8, and Proverbs 8 1 through 11. Now, we spent some time in Matthew, but we're going to jump back over into Exodus, and we're going to start seeing what some people might look at and go, this is really boring. I mean, God starts getting into some really detailed instructions into building of the tabernacle. Now, the tabernacle is not the temple. I want to differentiate between the two, okay? The temple is the permanent structure that will be built by King Solomon during his reign, still several hundred years from now. The tabernacle was a tent structure that was portable and designed for the Israelites to carry during their exodus, and also really all throughout up until the time of David. So the tabernacle is a temple. It was the dwelling place of God, but it was not the temple, okay? But God gives some really exacting instructions to just creating this tent. And it might beg the question of why? Why would God do this? Why would God make these very specific? And we're going to actually see this quite a bit in Leviticus, in Deuteronomy. We're going to see some instructions. You're going to go, man, these are really specific instructions. I mean, we get instructions about the tabernacle. We get instructions about what the entrance is going to look like, the altar for offerings, the courtyard, even the oil and how the oil for the lampstand is going to be used and how you're supposed to use it. Now, here's the reason why God did this. There's two reasons, I believe. Reason number one, because we take shortcuts. That's it. If God didn't prescribe every single little detail, we would continue to whittle away at the requirements to make them more convenient for ourselves. Let me give you an example from my own personal life. I know you're surprised by this, but I'm a talker. And as a kid growing up, I was a talker. And I was a pretty good kid in elementary school, but I talked a lot. And so that means that I would get in trouble for talking a lot. And when I was a kid, what they had you do was they would have you write sentences. Oh, man. I wrote a lot of sentences. And I remember one time we were supposed to go on a field trip. And I still had like 200 sentences to write before I was going to be allowed to go on the field trip. And I can't remember the exact wording of the sentence, but it was something along the lines of, I am not supposed to talk in class. I will not talk in class. And that was the sentence. And we get to the morning of the field trip, and I'm still got these like 200 sentences. I got to write each 25 times, and so I apparently talked a lot that week. And I remember it was getting close to time, and the sentence I was writing just kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until finally all I was writing was, I will not talk in class. 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 The teacher gave it to me. She let me go on the field trip. She probably was going to anyway in hindsight. But, but the bottom line is that she let me shorten it up and she let me get away with it. God was not going to let the Israelites get away with it and take these shortcuts. And so when we read these things, we have to understand that God is prescribing these very specific things so that we never take for granted the holiness of God. We never shortcut the holiness of God. We never minimize the holiness of God. So every single time that the priests would walk into this tabernacle to present the sacrificial offering, they would know the holiness of God, because every single thing in here was prescribed down to the cubit, down to the inch in the foot, as to exactly how holy God is. And I think sometimes these days we forget it. We forget the holiness of God. And we've talked about this. We talk about the friend that we have in Jesus, and to be sure we do have a friend in Jesus, but we should never forget the holiness of who God is. And so God is prescribing this. So I want you to read today, and if you've already read it, awesome. Maybe take a few minutes and read it again today. And don't look at it as boring information. Look at it as the holiness of God prescribed to us. Hope you have a blessed day, and we will talk next time.